here we are against Purdue, and we've got some more reset problems as we played against Purdue. So we're going to keep looking at the reset. So big picture idea, we're in a pretty good spot right here. So we've got Caden putting a trap side force flick mark on. So this is trap side force flick. Caden is giving us leverage over here. We need Johnny and Andrew both to be aware of that and thinking to themselves, okay, Caden's giving me leverage over there. I have to win the leverage over here. We all have to work together to force them through this space. So then we can have Caden close with pressure there, have our reset defender close with pressure here, and we can squeeze them through a window that's closing from both directions, creating pressure, leading to blocks and mistakes. So that's like the general idea. So I would call that like phase one. Phase one is, do we understand that we want to match our leverages to our teammates? As a reset defender, I want to match my leverage with my mark and together work to squeeze them in between our two leverages. That's phase one. Once we figure that out and we got it, phase two is, how do I actually win my leverage? So we're going to drill into that. So kind of keep everything else that I've said as true. And now like we're stepping into phase two, which is, okay, how do I actually win the leverage that I set up correctly? So I've got Andrew here, and I'm just going to assume that Andrew wants to do what he's actually doing. So here's our upline path. This white line is going to be just like a standard textbook you're drawing in your notebook and upline. So there's the upline path. I think the first thought a defender often has is, I'm going to just like blanket cover the offense. I'm just going to, every step they take, I'm going to take a step. I'm going to go stride for stride with them. I'm just going to be in their hip pocket the whole way through, and I'm just going to completely blanket cover them. And that works really great if you've got an athletic advantage, if you've got a quickness advantage. That works really, really well. I do want you all to consider, what happens when you're guarding somebody, wearing a Carlton jersey that has the number 31 on it. Are you still going to blanket cover that guy? I think you're probably not, and you might want to start thinking about, okay, how can I be a smarter defender so that I can still manage that situation? So go like a step further than just assuming you're going to win blanket coverage every time. So look at this setup. We've got Andrew. Here's the upline path. Andrew is set up so that he is going to have leverage on this side of the line. So there's kind of like a triangle of circles, and this like whole space Andrew should have leverage on, and he needs to win it. He needs to win that leverage, and he's letting the offense have leverage on this side of the line. So there's like another triangle of space where the offense is going to have leverage. So Andrew is saying, okay, here's the upline line. I'm going to win my leverage on this gold space, and I'm going to be willing to let them have leverage on that space. So what is key for Andrew here is he does not lose on his left hip. He cannot lose on his left hip. He has to push the guy across his body and get the guy to his right hip. If he is going to lose, he's got to lose on his right hip so that he's pushing the guy along this line, keeping them in this red space over here. And that works pretty good as well. But let's just keep thinking about it. So if that's the vision, here's the upline. And let's assume that this is a very, very good thrower. So any throw to that gold space, Andrew should have leverage and should win. So if your thrower recognizes that and is smart about it, they can throw something early, soft, and flat into the maroon space. So in this whole maroon space here, I wanted the circle. Let me grab the circle. In this whole maroon space over here, the offense should have leverage. And in this whole gold space over here, Andrew should have leverage. So if the thrower just gets it out there early, then the offense is going to, like let's say Andrew and the offense are still like over here and the Frisbee gets out there in front of them, then the offense is just going to peel off and go catch it. So the way for Andrew to level up even further as he continues in his Frisbee career and keeps becoming a better and better defender, the way for Andrew to level up even more is to start applying pressure on this white line. So he says, first thought is, I'm going to dominate my leverage no matter what. I'm going to always win my leverage on this side. And once I start getting good at that, I'm going to start putting pressure on the white line so that eventually their uplines start to look like this. So I'm now winning. I'm now a value add defender. I'm going like the extra mile, and I'm gaining more ground of leverage, and I'm pushing them out. And so when Andrew gets to this level of defense, this is going to help him disconnect the cutter from the thrower. It's going to make things deeper. It's going to make things steeper. The thrower is going to end up just looking it off because it's an out of rhythm upline that's just like further than he's used to. It's not an upline that he's practiced a lot. It also is an upline that pushes the reset into other people downfield. There's like crowded things happening with the cutters downfield. Mistakes might happen if you throw it. So this is going to get this guy looked off. This maroon line is going to get look-offs because the thrower's not used to it and it's going into a crowded space. And the offense is still going to have leverage on this side. But really good throwers beat like this white leverage. Really good throwers could beat it by putting the Frisbee into this space. Getting this Frisbee all the way to this space is like a whole nother challenge. And like there's not a lot of throwers that are good enough to start pushing it out into that space. So I think that's kind of like the few phases Andrew can think about as he's this defender. Like, okay, I'm going to blanket cover guys. Okay, I'm going to understand which side of the line I have leverage on, and I'm always going to win that side. And then I'm going to slowly push the upline line further and further, steeper and away from the thrower because I'm like clearly winning that leverage. What happens here, and there's going to be a bunch of clips of people making the same mistake, is that Andrew loses to his left hip. So all of that gold space, that whole gold triangle that Andrew had leverage on and should have definitely won, he loses immediately because he loses to his left hip, and then that's just an easy touch. So I think we need Andrew to lose on his right hip. You need to force the other team to go this way around you, and you need to be like with them, kind of bumping. You need to keep hitting them, kind of like pushing them along that line. You cannot let them just beat you to your left hip and then get a super easy touch, because all of this space in here is supposed to be yours. That's your leverage, and you need to win that triangle of the upline. Here we are struggling with our reset defense a little more. This is going to be very similar to the Andrew clip we looked at in a previous video. So right now, I feel like we're in kind of a pretty good spot. So we've got Leland going trap side force flick. So Leland's giving Caden some leverage over here. And Caden knows he's got to win leverage over here. So I feel like Leland and Caden are set up correctly. They're in a good spot. What we need is for Caden to like actually win this leverage now. So here's the upline path. We need Caden to recognize that he has to dominate this part of the line based on how he's set up. So he cannot lose his left hip. He cannot lose on his left hip. He has to win. He has to win his left, and he has to force the person to attack his right, and he has to just keep battling and working along the line against him there. This setup does give the offense leverage on this side of the line, but the advantage there is like look at all this crowded space, right? There's defenders, there's other people over here. This is not the side of the line that you want to have leverage with. So yes, the offense is going to try to attack you along this line every step of the way. They're going to try to penetrate. They're going to try to gain your leverage and win. And that's exactly what happens here. The offense attacks Caden's left hip, spins him like a turnstile, and they just win that upline. So we need Caden to win his left hip here, and we need Caden to battle along his right to keep that guy on the white upline path, and we need Caden to win the leverage that he initially sets up with. Let me help you be five. Here's another clip of us in the reset space. Kind of the same idea. So Buck's going to get over here. I think we're in a pretty good spot at this point. We got Venice is giving us, Venice is not flat, so he is going trap side here. He's going to help us out with a little pressure over here. I need Buck to win this upline space. I need the two of them to work together to force some kind of inside swing through the white that we pressure from both sides and lead to mistakes. So now I think Buck is in a good spot. He just needs to win his leverage. So how does he actually win his leverage? Here's his path right here. I need Buck to just, based on his initial setup, it looks like Buck really wants to win leverage along this side. So we need Buck to win his leverage over there, and we need Buck to force the offense to stay on this side of the line. So that means Buck cannot lose on his right hip. He cannot lose on his right hip. He can only lose on his left hip, and he needs to keep fighting for that left hip to battle them and keep them on this white line, or even push them into the red squares if he can. Unfortunately, Buck gets turned. He loses on his right hip. He gets spun in a circle, and that's an upline.